Once again, good morning, everyone, and welcome to our Practical Research 2 class today. We are down to the last two lessons, and the quarter is about to end. And today, I'm going to share with you lesson 6.1. It's about reporting and sharing research outputs. Like you will ask, what will happen after we have proposed our title, our paper? Then after you will gather the data, what's next? Then you need to start analyzing your data and start writing your reports. So for this lesson, I will share to you how to construct your chapters 4 and 5. To start with, let's recite today's memory verse. It's found in Galatians 6 verse 9. It says, let us not be weary. Let us not be weary in doing good. For in due season we shall reap if we faint not. At the end of today's class, we'll be able to form logical conclusions, formulate recommendations, and present a well-written research report. And for our venture activity, I will no longer play this, but I suggest that you watch this after our class so that you'll have an insight on how to share your research results. Let's start with chapter 4. Now, chapter 4 is about results and discussion, while chapter 5 is about summary, conclusion, and recommendation. In some papers, chapter 4 is also called presentation, organization, and interpretation of data. But for our class, we'll deal on the term results and discussion. Now, what can you find in chapter 4? This section deals with your data and the result of your statistical analysis. So basically, we go back to your statement of the problem. It's very important. For example, question number 1, what is the stress level of STEM students? The answer to question number 1 should be found in your chapter 4, in the results and discussion. So we say, here's the summary of the data. And based on your numerical data, whether in tabular or in graphical, we need to explain what is the data all about. Then, after explaining, we compare it with other studies. What is the study of so-and-so telling us about my data? Is it really true that stress levels of STEM students are higher compared to UMS and to ABM students? What will be the support? So that is how we draft our results and discussion. Let me highlight specific parts for the results and discussion. First, it presents to us the meaning, interpretation, analysis, and implication. You might ask, what is an implication? An implication is an application of your study. For example, for Mr. Yacon's group study, it's about sleep quality and academic performance. If the result will say that sleep quality has a relationship with academic performance, and that the less you sleep, the less you sleep, the higher your academic performance will be. What will be its implication? What will be its application in the near future? It will be found in the results and findings of your study. Then, what can be found? The main results and the findings. How can you present your results? It can be the tabular, a table, textual. This must really go together. A paragraph or a graphical presentation. Then you cite your significant limitations. Like, for example, why is it that your study goes like this? Why is it that sleep quality is not related with academic performance? What can be the limitations in your sampling, in the absence, for example, you don't have a control group where you can compare it, and the short duration of the intervention. Next, then you will also present the theories and other research studies that will, remember, did not, for example, ma'am, I found a study, but the study says that it does not support my result. No problem. Actually, the theory or the research studies can either support or contradict to your results. This is what the study said, but this is the result of my study. There is one big word I'd like to share to you, and this is a big no-no in research. The word is manipulate. Remember, once you will write your research report, all facts, all that you write there should be genuine. It should be correct. Why? You should never manipulate your data just to please what another researcher is thinking. For example, according to the study of so-and-so, if you listen to classical music, then your reading comprehension will increase, will be better. That might be our thoughts. That might be the researchers' thoughts. But when you conducted your study, your data said that classical music does not have any effect on reading comprehension. Or another, we compare classical and rock music in terms of reading comprehension. A previous study said that listening to classical music will give you better reading comprehension compared to rock music. But then, when you conducted your study, your results would always say rock music gives a better reading comprehension than classical music. Here comes your problem, because you think that your study is not right and that the data is not okay and it will not be supported by the research of somebody. Do not worry about that. Never manipulate your data results just to align it with somebody. Whatever the results are, that's it. You report it, and we can support or contradict it with other results. What will you do if your result is contradicting with somebody? The first thing to do is report truthfully what your data says. And the second is we investigate. Why is it that my data is different from somebody's data? That's the point that we ask ourselves. And possibly, that's why in your research 3, we do qualitative triangulation. We ask them, why is it that the rock music will give better result? I can makakonsentrate mangod ko, ma'am. It's my inclination. It's my comfort zone. So you see, there goes your qualitative part. Now, how do we write our results and discussion? Here is my suggestion based on my study entitled Team-Based Flipped Classroom, Effects on Student Attitude, Motivation, Engagement, and Achievement in Mathematics. Let me give you a very brief review on what the study is all about, so you will have a bird's eye view. Now, what is team-based flipped classroom? In a conventional classroom, what happens is we do lecture in classroom, then homework is done at home. In a flipped classroom, flip, sa baliktad siya. Lecture is done at home, so the student will study first the content, and once they'll get into the classroom, that's the homework part. You will just have quizzes and activities, no more lectures. Now, in the team-based flipped classroom, the whole class is divided into different teams. So team A, B, C, and D. In one team, there is an outstanding learner, a very satisfactory learner, a satisfactory learner, fairly satisfactory, and a beginning. So different learning types. And all of these teams are equal. It means based on statistical results, they are just the same. So walay mas bright na team, okay? So the team will study the concept together. And once they'll get into the classroom, the class starts with an individual test. After 10 minutes, after the individual test, the team will go together and they will take the team test. The test that was done individually will also be the same test to be done by team. But this time, they can now discuss their answers as a team. Then after that one, the feedbacking. We'll check their papers. We will explain if there are some lags in learning. And then the end part is they will have another exercise still to be done as a team. The learners were in that for 1 quarter, for 3 months. And after 3 months, we check if there's a change in their attitude towards math, in their motivation, in their engagement, like how they participate, and in their achievement. So, and remember, these 4 were tested before the conduct of the study. So, how will I present the results? The first question is, what is the student's attitude towards mathematics? So I will start with an introduction to the table. I'll say the modified attitude towards mathematics inventory questionnaire measured, because there are 3 components, measured 3 attitude constructs: self-confidence, value, and enjoyment. The 33-item inventory analysis between students exposed to team-based flipped classroom and students exposed to conventional classroom is shown below. So an introduction to your table or to your construct, followed by the table. How will I show my analysis table? Here. The test items are here. This is the conventional classroom group, my control group, and here's my experimental group. So the mean is solved. The standard deviation is also solved per item. Then the same for the team-based flipped classroom and for the standard deviation. So again, introduction, table, followed by the explanation of the table. Man, the table's already there. No need to explain. It's sabotable. No. In research, we need to explain any tabular data. So, you see, that's the whole item. Then, for each component, you need to write your subscale mean. It means the mean for each component. And at the end, here, because there are 3 constructs, components here: self-confidence, value, and enjoyment. So 1 subscale mean for self-confidence, 1 subscale mean for enjoyment, 1 subscale mean for value. And the end will be the overall attitude towards mathematics. Now, after your table, you need to place your notes. Before, it's not written this way, right? Example, highly positive, 4.6. Positive, inana siya, 2 columns. But the recent APA format tells us to do it this way. Formatting is very important. I'll discuss that one next tomorrow in our last discussion. So you place here the note. Attitude mean scores can be interpreted as Highly positive, your range. Positive, moderately positive, that one. Items with an asterisk mark are reversely scored. So after your note, then we start with the explanation. Students exposed to conventional classroom showed a moderately positive attitude towards mathematics. And your explanation for the whole table will be in the next one. Again, introduction, tabular data, explanation, the textual explanation, their tabular data, followed by a study or a theory that supports. So here, after I'll have that one, then I'll say the results of the modified attitude towards mathematics inventory coincides with the study of Zan and Martino, as cited by Villiver in 2014, that students develop a positive and negative attitude towards math because of two underlying themes: I can and I cannot. As early as first grade, students can start displaying a negative attitude towards mathematics. So again, okay, ma'am, how will I do it? You do it per question. Again, we go back to the statement of the problem. The sequence of your statement of the problem will be the same sequence once you will answer your results and discussion. We start with introduction, table, text to explain, and the research or theory that supports or contradicts your research. Now, the next question. My next question was, is there a significant difference in students' attitude as exposed to team-based flipped classroom and as exposed to conventional classroom? So now, I'm comparing the attitude of two classrooms after their exposure. So again, we start with the introduction. Then, table. What will you present in the table? Still, the variables are there. Next, the conventional classroom, mean and standard deviation. The team-based flipped classroom, mean and standard deviation. The t-test. Remember, I'm comparing two groups. So I've used independent samples t-test for my statistical analysis. So T51, it means there are 51 people who were in this study. So T51. Ma'am, where will I get the T51 results? I'll show you in the SPSS once you will have your data. Then the p-value. Remember how do we interpret the p-value? If the p-value is less than 0.05, then there is a significant difference. It means they are different. Sorry, I'm just using my mouse. Let me get first my pen. Now, remember that the significant difference must be less than 0.05 for it to be different, to be significantly different, I should say. So if it's greater than 0.05, what will happen? It means that they are just the same. So how do we mark that? If P is less than 0.05, you mark the p-value with 1 asterisk. If it's highly significant, like P is less than 0.01, we mark it with 2 asterisks. So if you check the p-value, this one, significantly different. This one, significantly different. This one, significantly different. So how will I interpret my data? I should say that in terms of attitude towards math, the two teams are significantly different. in favor of. Diba? If the attitude mean is higher, it means they also have higher positive attitudes. So in favor of the team-based flip classroom. Next, the self-confidence is also different in favor of the team-based flip classroom. The value is also different in favor of the team-based flip classroom. But in terms of enjoyment, they are not different. It means they only have the same levels of enjoyment. So how should I say that? We say that team-based flip classroom students have significantly higher levels of attitude towards math, higher levels of self-confidence, and higher levels of value compared to conventional classroom students. And here's how you will state that. Again, introduction, table, textual explanation. How will you write your textual explanation? This part. Moderately positive. If you need to write your mean, have them inside the parentheses, equals M equals this one, and compared for the other. Then you say the difference is significant. If you say significant, you back it up with, this is very important, comma, T value, comma, P value. No longer in a sentence. The APA format tells us to just write the symbols. Then, remember, this is now the textual explanation. Where is the support? Here. It is supported by River et al. 2017, where students under TBFC developed higher self-confidence than those in traditional learning classrooms. Higher self-confidence levels also lead to deeper levels of satisfaction. Main concern, ma'am, nga pong nalapay RRL sa chapter 4. No, actually, this ones, the supporting studies, I only got this from my RRL in chapter 2. Because diba sa RRL, na ay attitude, na ay supporting studies, na ay contradicting studies. So I just get it from there. Now, that's how you will write your results and discussion. Let me first stop the